Politico is out with an interesting new report on what's going on behind the scenes. AOC, House Progressives, warn Biden on corporate hires. A letter from left-wing lawmakers and groups calls for corporate lobbyists and high-ranking executives to be shut out of a Biden administration. So, who signed it? I'm not going to give you all the names. I'll give you some. These are the ones that are prominently listed in the article. Katie Porter, Ayanna Pressley, Raul Grahava, Jamal Bowman, 39 progressive groups signed the letter. So all the ones that you and I know. It argues that no C-suite level corporate executives, so certain corporate executives and corporate lobbyists, they cannot and should not have Senate-confirmed positions in a Biden administration. Okay, see, it's too awkwardly and specifically worded for me to be comfortable, because it's like, no Senate-confirmed positions. Okay, what if it's a non-Senate-confirmed position? Are you okay with it then? Now, my guess is they'd say no, but then I would follow up with, okay, then why did you write it the way you wrote it in the letter? Listen, I'm not trying to say that the lefties in Congress were trying to use the Weasley language on purpose. I'm just saying that perhaps it is Weasley language, and it wasn't nefarious what they did, but the language is too Weasley and too specific. Anyway, I digress from that. Let's just put that aside for a second. The general idea is, hey, no corporate executives, no lobbyists in your administration, Biden. Technically, it wasn't directly to Biden, but the tone was and the timing was, yeah, we're talking about Biden. Okay, so here's my question for them. No corporate leaders, no lobbyists, no high-ranking executives, all that stuff in your administration. Or what? Or what? That's my question for them. Or what? Or what are you going to do? I'm going to write you a letter demanding something, and then? So let's role play a little bit here. I'm Joe Biden. Hey, Mac, look here. I'm the guy who says that I'm not going to do that because we got a lot of people who are diverse from the corporate world, and so to block them out would be racist. So I'm not going to agree to your letter. And the progressives say, what? What are they going to say? What are they going to say? I'm asking seriously. I'm not, I know I'm being a dick here, but at the same time, this is legit. Like, this is serious. Like, I'm genuinely curious what they would say. What's the answer? They have nothing to say. Because there's nothing attached to this. Hey, do this thing. Or what? Or what? Or what? You've already pledged your support. And you did it from early on. You did it before you got the tangible, ironclad concessions. Listen, I want nothing more than to be in a position where it's like it's a no-brainer to support Joe Biden enthusiastically. But you need to get stuff for that. This isn't rocket science. I mean, these are the kinds of people who would go and negotiate for a car and they would pay over the sticker price willingly. Like, that's what this is. I mean, this is so ineffectual because there's nothing tied to your demand. So the idea is I'm going to send him a letter saying, please, sir, can you please do this for me? I would appreciate it very much. He's going to say no. Or what's more likely is he says nothing and he doesn't listen to it. Or he might even placate you and be like, yeah, I guess, whatever, sure. And then he does it anyway. Then he doesn't abide by it anyway. So, listen, this is the problem. And honestly, I don't want to put too much stress on these progressives doing it because I think they mean well. But really, the way Bernie handled his exit from the race is just the perfect encapsulation of this pathetic philosophy in action. So all he got when he exited was, let's do some placating, condescending, pat on the head unity commissions where they don't concede that much in the first place, but even to the extent that they do concede anything, Biden's just going to ignore it. Why? Because you didn't make any of it mandatory. So I know you guys have heard me say this 1,000 times, but I bring it up because nobody else talks about this kind of a solution. But what Bernie should have done is, towards the end of the race, when he was about to drop out, you meet with Joe Biden and you say, Joe, listen, man, I want to support you. I like you. I hope you like me. But I need something for it. Listen, I got 30% of Democratic voters locked up. You need this 30% of Democratic voters. Yes, Trump is bad, but if Trump is replaced by somebody who's going to change none of the things Trump did, then what do you want me to tell you? You need to earn our support. Here's how you earn our support. I made a list of 10 executive orders, and you need to promise to do these. I want your word in writing. You'll do these in the first 100 days. And if you agree to it, then I'll do everything I can for you to get you elected. If you don't agree to it, I'm just going to sit out. What am I going to do? Am I going to vote for Trump or campaign for a Green Party candidate? No, I'll just sit out. I'll just sit out. I won't do rallies for you. I won't do events for you. I won't say kind words about you. I'll just say, hey, listen, we tried to make a deal. We couldn't make a deal. And so I got to sit out. I have no choice. It's on him. It's not on me. He could have done that. Now, what do I think Biden would have done? Honestly, I think it's very likely he would have said, Bernie, I see your executive order list. I want to make a deal with you. I think these go too far. You know that I'm hesitant to do a lot of the things on this list. I can't do those 10, but I'll do these 5. Or even if he's really being a dick, I'll do these 3. I can agree to these 3, whatever they may be. Bernie, there's definitely things that Joe Biden is not for, but he's agnostic enough on them where with the proper pressure, you can get him to do it if he feels like he has to do it to get the support. And so let's say Biden comes out, yeah, here, 3 executive orders. I'm going to do these 3 within the first 100 days. This is my concession to the left flank of the party. This is my concession. I'll do these things, okay? And then what? Then Bernie can show to his base, to all these voters who are skeptical of the system because it's so corrupt, I didn't get everything, but here are the 3 concrete things I got, or 5 concrete things I got. So if you want to leave this on the table, by all means. I mean, imagine Bernie got Biden to agree to a full troop withdrawal in Iraq within the first 100 days. In writing, I will withdraw all the troops from Iraq within the first 100 days. Imagine. I would run to the polls to vote for Joe Biden, and I'd be ecstatic to do it, because that is so important. Now, Bernie didn't do any of that, and so what do we get? Nothing. We get placating, unity commissions, pats on the head. Listen, and don't get mad at me for bringing this up. I'm just explaining to you the mechanics of all this stuff. If you get mad at me because I'm not sufficiently being rah-rah Biden, a cheerleader for Biden, I'm trying to explain to you how you could have gotten many rah-rah Biden people, how you could have gotten young lefties to be excited about getting to the polls. Now, everybody who's going to suck it up and do the lesser evil vote, who understands what's happening, they really know, like, I'm not actually voting for anything at all. I'm just voting against Trump. Against Trump. So it's not like I think I'm going to change anything for the better. I'm just effectively gonna stop, hemorrhaging out of my asshole. Like, I'll stop the hemorrhaging out of my asshole, but I'm not actually gonna get treatment for the hemorrhaging asshole. We could stop the hemorrhaging asshole, but the long-term prognosis is that I'll probably start hemorrhaging out of my asshole again because I'm not then given the medicine to cure it. I like how this got super awkward. But anyway, but this is the problem. And now you see the progressive lawmakers doing the same thing. Like, now it's like, yeah, you should do this. And if he says no, then what? We're still going to vote for you and support you and campaign for you. By the way, there's not, like, they don't even do like a nuanced approach to it where it's like, no, I just won't actively support you and campaign for you. Even if you end up voting for him. This is the other thing. Even if you end up voting for him, there's a giant difference, a tangible difference between I'm not even going to tell anybody I'm doing it and showing up and voting for him, or I will proactively make the case on a regular basis and try to convince my hundreds of thousands of followers, whatever, that, this is what you should do. You know what I mean? Like, there's a tangible difference there. They're not even willing to use that spectrum. They're not even willing to be like, I'll just not actively push for you unless you agree to these things. So anyway, the final point is, and perhaps this is the most important point, you could write as many letters as you want saying these things, but if nothing's attached to them, nothing's going to get done. So my question is there any Democrat who you would say, I can't do it? I can't do it. I can't pull the lever. And this is a serious question. I'm not trying to be a dick on this one at all. Is there any Democrat where you would say, you know what? Joe Manchin is a step too far. Lieberman is a step too far. They're just too far. They're just too conservative. They're just too right-wing. Because the message that they always send is, no, I'm always going to fall in line. I'm always going to fall in line. So if you can get lefties to say, okay, the mass incarcerating war criminal, the guy who supported the Iraq war, which, by the way, is a key part of my political development, was realizing how horrendously evil and criminal the Iraq war was. A guy who voted for that. A guy who's a mass incarcerator, locking up nonviolent offenders. If you can get the left to support this guy with no tangible concessions, then is there any Democrat that they would say, I just can't do it? So in other words, if George W. Bush changed his party affiliation to Democrat and ran as a Democrat against Trump, would everybody be berating lefties to say, hey, you got to shut up and fall in line? Bush is better. George W. Bush is better. George W. Bush is better. Would they do that? Would they say no to Joe Manchin? Would they say no to Joe Lieberman? These are serious questions because I don't think they would. I think there's literally nobody that they can't trot out and dump in front of you that these people would pretend like, oh yeah, here's a strongly worded letter. Aren't I so strong? It's like, well, no, because if he doesn't do it, which he's not going to, you're not going to do dick about it. So you're just like, it's like you're pretending to be serious people as you always go along to get along. Now, by the way, a final point. I know I probably said that a million times. I'm not even convinced my approach would work, just so you know. You know what I mean? Like, I know their approach isn't going to work because I've seen it not work 1,000 times before. Do I know my approach would work? No. I'm just trying to maximize the likelihood of progressive change and get the best outcome. But is it possible that, you know, if you have your list of demands in the Bernie scenario I was describing before, that Biden agrees to it, oh, sure, I'll do this within the first 100 days, and then he also doesn't do it in that situation? I mean, that would be so incredibly brazen as to be like, I would be shocked, but it is a possibility. If he makes the deal in good faith and then just goes back on it within the first 100 days and is like, yeah, something happened and sun was in my eyes, whatever, blah, blah, I didn't do it. Like, I think there's a 70% chance he would do it if he cut the deal, but there's a 30% chance he wouldn't. Or the other possibility is if Bernie were to bring to him that list, executive orders within the first 100 days, is it theoretically possible that Biden would say, yeah, we're not going to do it, piss off, and then if we lose, we'll blame you, and that'll make people hate the left even more? That's possible too. Like, Biden could just be like, even to what I think is the best strategy, it's still possible Biden could be like, yeah, I'm not going to do any of that, and if you don't campaign for me, then it'll be easy for me to blame you if/when I lose. So I'll make people hate the left more. See, my point is, guys, there's no good answers when you're the loser. This is the point I'm trying to get across, is that there are a lot of people who think they have a silver bullet explanation to this. Like the lesser evil voter people just say, oh my God, just vote for Joe and then we'll push him really hard on day one and move him left. That's not going to happen, and I think you're hopelessly naive if you believe that. Seriously. Like, if you want to support him because he's just not as bad as Trump and you can make the case on those merits, that's fine. But don't delude yourself into thinking, oh, we'll move him left on day one. He's not going left. He is who he is. We see his record. It's crystal clear. So I think those people are deluding themselves because they're just wrong in their outlook on how things are going to unfold. But I also think a lot of the people who take the anti-lesser evil vote position, I think they're kind of deluding themselves too, because their idea is, if we make our terms clear, they have to accept it. And if they don't accept it, then they know they're going to lose, so the next time they'll accept it. They'll say, we needed the left, so now we have to make a deal with them. Or they hate you even more than they currently do, and they blame you even more than they currently do, and they move even further away from you and try to get even more right-wing people. Because that's kind of what happened in 2016. They blamed Jill Stein and Green voters for Donald Trump winning. So did that make them want to run to the Green voters to get their voters? Did that make them want to run to the left to get more people on the left to like them? No, it didn't. It made them run further away from the left. So in other words, there is no good answer when you're in the position that we're in, which means we just have to win. The left has to get serious about actually winning. So we're the ones in the driver's seat. We're the ones with the presidential nomination. Because then they have to bend to us. Now, no matter what we do, we lose, and we have to, one way or another, bend to them. So that's why, unfortunately, the way everything unfolded with Bernie was so heartbreaking. And it's not just Bernie's fault, but some of it is Bernie's fault. And yes, some of it is the evil establishment coalescing behind the scenes with Mayor Pete and Amy Klobuchar. We've been through it a million times. Elizabeth Warren staying in and taking the votes. There's a million things we could say, but we have to get serious about winning, because when you win, then you're in the driver's seat. If you don't win, then you're always seemingly negotiating against yourself. And I'm here to tell you there is no silver bullet. There is no good answer now that Biden's the nominee. So it's a lose-lose, and don't let anybody tell you differently, where they pretend like, no, we'll win if we just do this. The only way you win is if you win. Capiche?